Hitman, Blood Money, and Absolution are two completely different experiences, two different eras, and unfortunately, one just doesn't hit like the others. Hitman Blood Money originally released in 2006, along with Absolution, which released 6 years later in 2012. Just like with the 4-year time jump in development, the game saw a significant jump in quality between these two entries, different from the smaller cycle between Contracts and Blood Money. Both games were released in an HD remaster in 2019, which gave it 4K 60 FPS, along with a spew of other improvements. I started with Blood Money as the first game canonically in the collection, and if you've ever played any of the newer Hitman games, you pretty much know what you're getting into. Without the newer entries in terms of their fluidity and just overall accessibility, the gameplay experience can be very rough. David Bateson does a fantastic job as always, and he will always be the Hitman 47, and I don't think he will ever be able to be replaced. The movement is actually quite fluid, but I'm sure that has a lot to do with the HD collection. The premise is simple. Get in undetected. Try and leave as little evidence as possible while retrieving as much. Take out the target and get out. In most cases, if you played one Hitman game, you played them all. This particular entry is where the story ramps up more than the other games, where the franchise, a criminal organization, trying to steal the same cloning technology that created 47 to try and use it for their own purposes. The story is definitely way more prominent than the earlier entries, but also still seems kinda stale and background chatter. The gameplay combat is simple enough, but anyone who's ever played a Hitman game knows that the combat isn't the main reason you play the game. The main draw of a Hitman game is the replayability and the different ways of getting to take out your targets. There isn't much more I can say about this entry because it's pretty much the same as the other games, but for a 2006 game, it does hold up very well, but definitely doesn't have nearly as much freedom as the other games. The ending sequence makes the game way better than the entire game combined, where he shoots his way out of his grave, and that will always be one of the crowning achievements in gaming and one of the most badass moments in gaming history. Overall, I'd have to give the game a 6.5 out of 10. Now, Hitman Absolution. This is 100% without a doubt the best Hitman game I have ever played. The music, the gameplay, the story, it's all top notch, and I've never seen it before in a Hitman game. And this comes from someone who played the 2016 Hitman 2 and Hitman 3 before. Absolution right out the gates is not like the others. I don't know what IO Interactive was pumping back in 2012, but this doesn't even feel like a Hitman game. The first thing you notice is that the story has been revamped to 100 and actually has a lot of formal backing. Just like in Blood Money, the premise of this game is the franchise trying to find a way to replicate the technology that made 47 who he is, and it comes in the form of a young girl named Victoria. At the beginning of the game, you are tasked with killing Diana Burnwood, the operative responsible for covering your missions after she goes rogue and the agency sends you after her. After killing her, she tells you about Victoria and tells you to keep her away from the agency. After leaving her in the company of the nuns of the orphanage, you leave to figure out why they are after her. In terms of Hitman games, this is the first entry where you see they really wanted to let the story shine, and is by far the most invested I have been in one of these games, and it is done so well. This is also the first time the gameplay is really revamped, and you could tell that this was the first implications of what would become the modern Hitman games. From later interviews with developers at Interactive, this is definitely where they said they wanted the series to go and how it would influence how the newer Hitman game goes. This game also is a way more balanced experience than the other entries. This game introduced the Instinct ability, which allows you to see enemies through walls and floors, which also allows you to hide in plain sight, and has an awesome ability where you can target multiple enemies at once to take them all out. You really feel like John Wick while you play this game. The gameplay is definitely ahead of its time for something like this. This is also the first game to introduce contracts, which is an online feature that allows you to create your own missions and upload them for other players to experience, and is also revolutionary with the newer games as well. Funny enough, when this game came out, they tried to replace Bateson as a voice actor, and it wasn't told about it until the public found out and bullied the studio into bringing him back, which, as I said earlier, I don't see anyone else doing it as well as he did. A lot of mechanics in Absolution were later included in the modern entries, and this is definitely considered a Flagstaff addition to the Hitman universe. Overall, a lot of people didn't like this game on release because it went away from the normal formula of the Hitman games, being less open world style and more linear, with more combat focused than stealth. But I have to say that's one of the main reasons I absolutely adore this game. And the game has so much freedom on how you can operate, whether it be stealthy or be loud, and that's my favorite part. Of course, I love being stealthy, but if something goes wrong, I want to be able to go loud and not die in 5 to 10 seconds. I absolutely loved my time with this, and I cannot wait for more people to enjoy this. And I hope after listening to this review, you will give the game a fighting chance. And I gotta give the game a 9 out of 10 in enjoyment. Hitman Absolution / Blood Money HD Collection is available on PS4, Xbox One, and backwards comp with Series X and PS5. If you enjoyed this review and you want to see more like it, please consider subscribing to the channel for all your gaming, movie, and TV show fixes.